Why does the wall of least effort work? Now, a lot of times we feel like we have to do so much more than we really do because deep down within us we don't feel worthy of what we want. We don't feel like we deserve it. And this is why I'm making this video actually, because I really had the experience in my life to force myself to achieve the things that I want. And I've also had the experiences where I've experienced them effortlessly. I've experienced the manifestation of my desire effortlessly. And I cannot say that I'm only manifesting my desire, because this is not the case. In fact, part of me is still doubting the manifestation journey. It's doubting this wall of least effort. And this is the exact reason why I'm doing this video, to contemplate on this topic and see all the truthful reasons why the wall of least effort works. So what is the wall of least effort? First of all, let's try to describe it, okay? So the wall of least effort, if we look at nature, everything happens through the path of least resistance. If we look at a sapling that's growing up and becoming a tree, it will always find the path of least resistance. If it has a surface that it cannot pass through while it's growing, it will go around it, right? It won't start drilling through it. While we as humans, we tend to do the opposite. We tend to force ourselves and create unnecessary resistance to fulfill our potential, to fulfill our desires. Why is this the case? If we take a moment to pause and contemplate, why would we exert much more effort than necessary to fulfill our desires? Have you ever thought about that? Because if we look at it deeply, well, it is because we need to force ourselves to prove that we are worthy and deserving. Because when we are embarking on a new journey, when we want to achieve something, when we want to fulfill a desire, we haven't convinced ourselves internally that we deserve it, that what we want is already the fact, that we are capable of experiencing it. And since that's not the case, since we are starting from doubt, then we need to force our self-image, self-concept to make us believe that we are worthy of what we want. This is why we exert so much more effort than necessary. Because deep down, each of us, from the moment we are born, we assume that we are incomplete. We assume that we are unworthy. We assume that we are not enough. And that we need something outside of us so that we feel worthy, so that we feel complete, so that we feel like we are enough. Yet, is that truly the case? What if your existence right now, your consciousness of being, is proving the fact that you're already whole and complete, that you're enough? What if we start from that premise? What if the awareness of your being, the fact that you're aware right now, is the sufficient proof that you're worthy and deserving? And if that's the case, because you exist either way, right? Whether you believe you're unworthy or not, either way you exist. So there is a power greater than you, greater than me, greater than each of us, that shows us the worthiness of our existence. If we start from that premise for a moment, what would be possible, right? How could we approach the fulfillment of our desires if we start from that premise? This is exactly what I'm willing to discover through this contemplation in this video. And I really hope that I'm entertaining your mind so that you can come up to your own conclusions. Because a lot of times what happens is that the moment we are born, we accept this belief, and I don't really know why. It's because we're conditioned this way, and our parents have done it like that for ages, and society, literally everything that people do in our society is through hard work. So we accept this belief that I only deserve things through hard work. And nothing that I can get easily is worth is worthwhile. It's not worthwhile. So these limiting beliefs, they stop us from living through the wall of least effort. And then we assume unconsciously that I need to force myself to prove that I am worthy of what I want. But what if we reverse that? What if we made an experiment with our lives, right? So it's not about proving anything to anybody. It's about proving this to ourselves. So it's an experiment with our own self. If we start from that premise, I am already complete, I am already whole, I already deserve what I want because this desire is in my consciousness. If it's in my consciousness, I must be able to fulfill it. If we start from that premise, then how would we apply the wall of least effort? We start from the assumption that I don't need to prove anything to anyone. I am good enough already. I am good enough already. If I have a desire, I'm good enough for it. I don't need to prove that I'm worthy of it. I am good enough for it. If it's in my consciousness, consciousness is the one and only reality. This is a belief that's really constructive because you're always conscious. Consciousness is always with you. So you know for a fact that consciousness is real. And if in your consciousness there is a desire, this desire is given to you. And since you're already conscious, consciousness is the one and only reality. For a fact, you can test that, verify that for yourself. If that desire exists in your consciousness, by definition, you must be worthy of it. Makes sense, doesn't it? So if we start from that assumption, I don't need to prove anything, that presumption, then if I don't need to prove anything to anyone, I don't need to force myself to prove that I'm worthy of what I want, then I wouldn't create unnecessary resistance, right? So it would be natural for me to embody the desire that I want. So what I'm doing, all the actions, all the effort that I'm exerting towards the fulfillment of that desire, it's already natural for me because I know that this desire belongs to me and I'm conscious of it, which means that I deserve it. And if I deserve it, everything that I do in the direction of that desire, it's a natural expression coming from that desire. So it's natural for me. Everything that you do, everything that you think you have to do to fulfill your desire, it's a proof that this desire, the fulfillment of that desire is already natural for you. So the actions that you do, they are coming from that desire fulfilled. From the assumption that this desire already belongs to you and you deserve it. So how could we make that practical? This is the real question here. Well, if you contemplate, how would you feel like if your desire is already fulfilled for a moment? And you're able to surrender to that feeling, then anything that you would do, it would come with this state of completeness, fullness, wholeness, excitement, the joy of expressing what you already possess within you. So instead of struggling and forcing yourself to prove that you deserve what you want, start from the end. And this is where we go back to Neville Goddard, right? Living from the end. If you could do anything that you know you have to do, with the assumption that it's already yours, so you start with the feeling, then the action itself would follow naturally. And this is something that needs to be tested. Unfortunately, I cannot convince you of that. You are the only one who can convince yourself of that, as I am the only one who can convince myself of that. And that's why it's an experiment. So what do you think, my friend? Do you believe that this experiment is worth trying? You start with the feeling of how it would feel like if it was already yours. And then see how effortless it is to pursue what you want to do. Why the wall of least effort works? And to answer this question now at the end of that contemplation, well, I personally believe that the wall of least effort works because we start from the end. it's already natural. Since we accept that we deserve and we are worthy of what we want, then obviously the actions towards the fulfillment of what we want, they would be with the least amount of effort, through the path of least resistance. We don't need anything, we don't have anything to prove, we don't create any unnecessary resistance, so all the actions we take towards the fulfillment of that desire, they're already natural for us. Give this a try and let me know how it works, because I believe it's a totally fascinating experiment. Thank you so much for staying with me, and I will see you around in the Higher Consciousness with Danny channel. See you around, my friend. Enjoy your day.